Hello students and welcome back to English class. We'll continue with the short story The Horse and Two Goats written by R.K. Narayan. So before we proceed, as usual, let's have a quick recap. We know that the story is set in a tiny South Indian village called Krita. And the important characters discussed so far are Muni and his wife. They lead a very poor or impoverished life. And to say about Kritam, there was only one big house in that village, and rest all the houses were made of bamboo thatch, straw, and mud. One day, Muni shook six drumsticks from the drumsticks tree, and he is asking his wife to prepare a drumstick sauce for him. Since there were no ingredients to cook that sauce, wife asked him to buy those items from the nearby shop. But Muni was badly insulted by the shopkeeper that day and he was sent away. There is no other food in the house. Muni's wife asked him to go away with the goats and fast that day. Muni takes the goats to the usual spot, which is a few miles away. It is a grassy spot and also it's near the highway. There he sits in the shade of the large size statue of a horse and a warrior and watches the trucks and the buses go by. So more details about the horse, one of the important element in this short story, The Horse and Two Goats. We'll have a discussion today. The horse was nearly life-size, molded out of clay, baked, burnt, and brightly colored, and reared its head proudly, prancing its four legs in the air and flourishing its tail in a loop. Beside the horse stood a warrior with Sith-like mustachios, bulging eyes, and aquiline nose. So that is what's said about the horse. Horse was nearly life-size. That is, it had the size of a normal horse, molded out of clay. It's made of clay, baked and burnt, and brightly colored. And just like a typical horse statue, it was a brightly colored one. We know the Indian colors, green, blue, orange, red, and all those. It was brightly colored and reared its head proudly and in a very proud manner with its head raised. That was a statue of the horse, prancing its four legs in the air. Prancing means in the form of jumping in the air and flourishing its tail in a loop. And because it was prancing forward, its tail was flourishing, or it was in the form of a loop. It was flying up, or it had the shape of a loop. You can get that imagery in mind, a prancing horse statue image. Beside the horse stood a warrior. So it was not only a horse statue. Nearby there is a warrior also with Sith like mustachios. His mustachios, just like a typical Indian warrior, his mustachios are the shape of a sickle or a scythe with mustachios raised up, bulging eyes and aquiline nose. Aquiline means with a curved nose. Here we have the image of a prancing horse statue. So the horse itself was said to have been as white as Dhobi wash sheet, and it had on its back a cover of pure brocade of red and black lace, matching the multicolored sash around the waist of the warrior. So, what was the color of the horse statue? Actually, the horse was, before, it was white in color. And on its back there was a pure brocade of red and black lace, matching the multicolored sash around the waist of the warrior. And even the waist of the warrior had a multicolored sash. So everything was very colorful, just like the Indian statues. But none in the village remembered the splendor, as no one noticed its existence. And lucky thing was that till then no one in the village had a great notice on the statue and the horse. As a result, it was laying safe there. Even Muni spent all his waking hours at its foot, never bothered to look up. Even to say about Muni, though he was resting under the foot of this awe statue, he never bothered to look up and enjoy its beauty. So it was left unnoticed by everyone. As a result, it was untouched even by the young vandals of the village, who gashed tree trunks with the knives and tried to topple off milestone and inscribe lewd designs on all the walls. So because of that, lucky thing was, or the oz statue was actually fortunate. It was untouched by the young vandals because it was unnoticed, it was untouched by the young vandals. Vandals are those people who intentionally destroys the public property. You might have seen in the bank walls or hospital walls and so, simply inscribing the names with their keychains, or I mean the keys of vehicle and other things, and thereby making the wall distorted. So because it was unnoticed, it was left free of it was left without any damage by the vandals who gashed the tree trunks with knives and trying to topple off milestone and inscribe lewd designs on the walls. Lewd means unpleasant comments on the walls. All these are very common sights in India to inscribe on the tree trunk or to write lewd design or unpleasant comments on the walls of the public building, right? But since this was unnoticed, there was no such damage on this horse statue. The statue had been closer to the population of the village at one time when the spot bordered the village. The statue was once very close to the village when this village border was near the statue. But later, when the border got extended, statue became far off from the village. Muni sat on the foot of the statue, watching his two goats graze in the arid soil among the cactus and lantana bushes. He looked at the sun. It was tilted westward, and no doubt, but it was not the time yet to go back home. If he went too early, his wife would have no food for him. So Muni sat at the foot of the statue, watching his goats grazing. And what were the bushes found there? Cactus and lantana bushes. Then he looked at the sun. It was almost time for him to go back. But he thought that he should not go now because his wife had already informed, do not come back till the sun has set. Also, he must give her time to cool off her temper and feel sympathetic, and then she would scrounge and manage to get some food. He thought that, moreover, let her take her own time to cool off her temper. She was very angry in the morning. To cool off her temper, feel sympathetic, and then she would scrounge and manage to get some food. Scrounge means getting something from others without paying for it. And thus she would manage some food for Muni. He noticed now a new sort of vehicle coming down at full speed. It looked like a motor car and a bus. He used to be intrigued by the novelty of such spectacle. So while he was sitting on the top of the hill grazing these two goats, he noticed a new vehicle coming down at full speed. So when he looked properly, he realized that it doesn't look like a motor car and a bus. It was between a motor car and a bus-like vehicle. He used to be intrigued by the novelty of such spectacle. He used to be intrigued. Intrigued means he used to get attracted to such new model of vehicles. But late work was going on at the source of the river on the mountain, and an assortment of people and traffic went past him, and he took it all casually and described to his wife later in the day. And since work was going on near the river, what was happening over there is that assortment of people and traffic went past by. Different type of people came to this area, and he took it all casually and described to his wife. And once he reaches home after finding these assortment of people and vehicle, he will go and describe all these to his wife late in the day. Everything, whatever he saw, he used to describe to his wife. Today, while he observed the yellow vehicle coming down, he was wondering how to describe it later to his wife when it sputtered and stopped in front of him. So when he saw this yellow vehicle, what he was thinking was, how will I describe what sort of vehicle it is to my wife once I go home? It was at that moment it sputtered and stopped in front of him. Sputtered means in a quick and explosive sound. Some bikes and so usually sputter, isn't it? With a sort of explosive sound, quick and explosive sound. A red-faced foreigner who had been driving it got down and went round it, stooping, looking and poking under the vehicle. Then he straightened himself, looking at the dashboard, stared at Muni's direction and approached him. So, now we find the entry of the next important character in the story, the red-faced foreigner. So, in which vehicle did the red-faced foreigner come here? in that vehicle which doesn't look like either a car or a motor car or a bus. So this man who had been driving it got down and went round it, stooping, looking and poking under the vehicle. So something had gone wrong with the vehicle. So he stopped the vehicle and he was looking, stooping and poking under the vehicle. Then he straightened himself up. Then, because realizing that something went wrong to his vehicle, he straightened himself up and looked at the dashboard. Then he was looking at the dashboard and stared at the Muni's direction and approached him. And after finding a man nearby, he is coming towards Muni. Let's see what he is asking to Muni and reply given by Muni. Excuse me, is there a gas station nearby or do I have to wait until another car comes? He suddenly looked up at the clay horse and cried, Marvelous! Without completing a sentence, Muni felt he should get up and run away and cursed his age. He could not readily put his limbs into action. So, this Englishman, what is the Englishman asking to Muni? He is asking whether there is a gas station nearby because something has gone wrong with his vehicle. And it was then he suddenly got notice to that got notice of that horse statue nearby. So looking at the horse statue, what did the red face foreigner say? Yeah, he exclaimed, marvelous. Did Muni understand anything? What was the reason? Man was speaking in English. Muni don't know that language. So what Muni thought is that he should get up and run away because something bad's going to happen to him. Usually, on those days, whenever we find a foreigner or a man in police uniform, people were usually frightened. So Muni thought that he should run away now. Then he started cursing his age because he could not readily put his limbs into action. Though he felt like running away, his legs were not working in accordance with his command. He could not run fast or he couldn't put his legs into action. The red-faced man wore khaki clothes, evidently a policeman or a soldier. So that was the reason why Muni got angry. Muni got afraid because the man was wearing khaki clothes. So all those English people in khaki, for the poor Indians, they considered them as either a policeman or a soldier, whom they need to be afraid of. Muni said to himself, he will chase or shoot if I start running. Some dogs chase only those who run. Oh Shiva, protect me. So Muni thought, oh, if I run, definitely this man will chase and kill me. And some dogs are there which will come behind only those people who run. So better I will not run. Then he was praying to God, oh Shiva, protect me. I don't know why this man should be after me. And he was muttering to himself, I don't know why. What wrong did I do? Why is this man behind me? Meanwhile, the foreigner cried. Again, the foreigner cried, marvelous. Again, nodding his head. He paced around the statue with his eyes fixed on it. Muni sat frozen for a while and then fidgeted and tried to edge away. So, where was Muni seated? Near that pedestal of the horse statue, right? And what is this man doing now? He was exclaiming the term marvelous again and moving around the statue to have a good look on the statue. Muni was so afraid that he fidgeted. Fidgeted means he moved fast and tried to edge away. When we are afraid, what will we do? We will try to edge on one corner of the area, one corner, no? Same way Muni was acting. Now, the man suddenly pressed his palms together and smiled and said, Namaste. How do you do? Then, man finding Muni, maybe he pressed his palms together and he was telling Namaste to Muni. Is there a need to be afraid of such a man? But Muni was a poor illiterate too. If you're illiterate, usually you will be afraid of those things which you need not be to. Isn't it? At which Muni spoke the only English expression he had learned. Yes, no. So Muni was very poor in English. It is a very comic, a very funny situation here. The foreigner was saying Namaste wholeheartedly, whereas Muni was saying yes, no. because that is the only English term he knew. Having exhausted his English vocabulary, he started in Tamil. My name is Muni. These two goats are mine, and no one can gainsay it, though our village is full of slanderers these days who will not hesitate to say that what belongs to a man doesn't belong to him. So, Muni, after being exhausted with the English words, since he did not have any more English words to speak, he started in his Tamil language. And what Muni was telling to this foreigner is that I am Muni, and these two goats, which you find grazing here, are actually mine. No one can say that this belongs to someone else. But there are various people in this village who always tell lies, who even do not hesitate to say the item which belongs to a man as someone else. The foreigner faithfully looked in the direction indicated by Muni's fingers, gazed for a while at the two goats and the rocks, and then, with a puzzled expression, took out a silver cigarette case and lit a cigarette. Suddenly remembering the courtesies of the season, he asked, Do you smoke? So the foreigner was faithfully listening to what Muni was telling. He looked, finding Muni speaking Tamil. Actually, the man doesn't know Tamil, so he was looking onto the action of Muni. He looked at Muni's finger where he was pointing to. He gazed for a while at the two goats, then at the rocks, and with a puzzled expression, he took out a silver case and lit a cigarette. So usually, the right mannerism is when you're smoking, you should at least ask the other person, you need one or not, right? So remembering this courtesy of the season, man is asking to Muni, do you smoke? Muni answered, yes, no. Whereupon the red-faced man took a cigarette and gave it to Muni, who received it with a surprise, having had no offer of a smoke from anyone for years now. So the red-faced man actually did not understand what Muni meant. Anyway, he gave a cigarette to Muni. And Muni was actually delighted because till now for years, till then, he had never received a smoke from anyone. He had always wanted a smoke. He had always wanted to smoke a cigarette. Only once the shopman gave him one on credit, and he remembered how good it had tasted. So, as far as Muni is concerned, being a poor man, though he liked to smoke cigarette, he never had a chance in his life to smoke cigarette. He had only smoked once. That too, he got it for credit from the shopkeeper. And he remembers it stays very properly. It was really a very good thing for Muni. The other flicked the lighter open and offered a light to Muni. So maybe by now you might have noticed how good the man was, right? So the man, as a part of the courtesy, he was lighting the lighter towards Muni. Let's see what Muni did or how funny the situation was. The other flicked the lighter open and offered a light to Muni. So when the light is offered, what should Muni do? He should lit a cigarette, right? But let's see what Muni did. Muni felt so confused about how to act that he blew on it and put it out. But Muni didn't know what to do. What Muni did was, when the lighter was extended towards Muni, he blew off the light or he blew off the fire. The other, puzzled but undaunted, flourished his lighter, presented it again and lit Muni's cigarette. But the other, undaunted means he was not very frightened. He flourished his lighter. He switched his lighter on once again, presented it again and lit Muni's cigarette. Man was actually a very good man, a very generous man. That's why realizing that this man doesn't know anything or he's not able to, he doesn't know how to act or how to react in accordance with the situation, he took the cigarette of Muni and lit it for Muni. Muni drew a deep puff and started coughing. It was striking, no doubt, but extremely pleasant. So Muni, as soon as he got the cigarette to smoke, he took a puff. And he took it in such a manner that he ended up coughing. But it was extremely a pleasant thing for Muni. When his cough subsided, he wiped his tears and took stock of the situation, understanding that the other man was not an inquisitor of any kind. Now Muni was not much afraid towards this man Because if he is a policeman, definitely he would not have given him a cigarette to smoke, right? So, yet, in order to make sure, he remained wary. No need to run away from a man who gave him such a potent smoke. His head was reeling from the effect of one of those strong American cigarettes made with a roasted tobacco. So now situation of Muni was that his head was reeling because of the effect of that smoke or because of the effect of that American tobacco. The man said, I come from New York, took out a wallet from his hip pocket and presented his card. So the man started speaking to Muni. Man was telling, I'm coming from New York. And he took his visiting card and he was going to present it towards Muni. So let's see the reaction of Muni. Muni shrank away from the card. When the man extended his visiting card towards Muni, Muni moved away from the card. You know why? Perhaps he was trying to present a warrant and arrest him because he thought that that was an arrest warrant to arrest Muni. Beware of Kaki. One part of his mind warned. So one part of his mind was telling, Muni, be careful of this man. Take all the cigarettes or whatever is offered, but don't get caught. Mind was telling to Muni, Muni, be very careful. You get whatever item you can get from this red-faced man. But see that you don't get caught. Beware of Kaki. His mind was telling to him, beware of Kaki. He wished he were in 70, as a shop man had said. So at that moment, he badly wished, if I were not 70 years old. I could have run if I were not 70 years, right? At 70, one didn't run, but surrendered to whatever came. So now, in his mind, he was of the opinion that he was 70 years old and he was not fit for anything. As a result, he was not able to run too. So he was telling, usually at the age of 71, he was telling to himself, at 71, what can I do? If this man is going to arrest me, I just can surrender before this man. He could only ward off trouble by talk. He could only keep away the trouble by talk. So, he thought that I can only keep myself away from this man arresting me simply by conversing with this man. So, he went on, all in Chas Tamil, for which Kritam was famous. So, Muni thought that best thing is that I should keep on talking with this man. So he started speaking to this man in very pure Tamil. He said, before God, sir, Bhagwan, who sees everything, I tell you, sir, that we know nothing of the case. If the murder was committed, whoever did it will not escape. Bhagwan is all-seeing. Don't ask me about it, I know nothing. So as if this man has asked him about any murder case, Muni was telling to this man, dear sir, I don't know anything about that murder. In the name of God or Bhagwan, I am telling you, I really don't know anything related to the murder. Don't ask me about it. I know nothing. I cannot tell you anything about that murder. A body had been found mutilated and thrown under a tamarind tree at the border between Kritam and Kuppam a few weeks before, giving rise to much gossip and speculation. So actually what Muni talked about is about a dead body which was found in between Kritam and the Kuppam village. And it had given rise to a number of gossips and speculation. After all, it is a village, right? So there will be a number of gossip related to a dead body if found so. Muni added an explanation. Anything is possible here. Anything is possible there. People over there will stop at nothing. So Muni was again adding few opinion about the people of Kuppam and people of that area. The foreigner nodded his head and listened courteously, though he understood nothing. And this foreigner, he doesn't know Tamil at all, right? But even then, he listened to it very carefully and nodded his head. I'm sure you know when this horse was made, said the red man, and smiled ingratiatingly. So the red man is telling to Muni, I know that you know very well when this horse statue is made. Saying this, the man smiled ingratiatingly. Ingratiatingly means a manner in which we would smile in order to please others when we want to satisfy our needs. It's like we say waxing others in order to satisfy our needs. Muni reacted to the relaxed atmosphere by smiling himself and pleaded, "Please go away, sir. I know nothing. I promise we will hold him for you if we see any bad character around, and we will bury him up to his neck in a coconut pit if he tries to escape. But our village has always had a clean record. Must definitely be the other village." So Muni, even now, though the foreigner was smiling, even now he is not totally relaxed. Muni has got it out still now whether the man is a police officer or not. So that's why we find Muni begging to man, saying that please go away, sir. If we find a bad character around, definitely we will bring that bad character to you. What Muni and the villagers are going to do if they find the bad character is that they would bury that character in a coconut pit so that there is no more scope for the man to escape. And definitely it would be reported to the police officer or this man in khaki or the foreigner. Must definitely be the other village. Again, he's telling maybe the man whom you are searching for will definitely belong to other village. Over here, all the people are equally good. Now, the right man implored. Implored means in a begging style. He started asking, "Please, please, I'll speak slowly. Please try to understand me. Can't you understand even a simple word of English? Everyone in this country seems to know English, have gotten along with English everywhere in this country, but you don't speak it. Have you any religious or spiritual scruples against English speech?" So actually, the present situation is that the right man wanted to ask him something, or right man is not able to communicate what he wanted to with Muni. So finally, man in a very begging manner, he started telling to Muni, "Please, please listen to what I am telling. Please try to understand me. Is it that you don't know even a simple word of English?" And he's finally telling, "I've been with this English all around India and people were able to follow me. Why are you so? Is it that because of certain religious restriction you will never learn English?" Muni made some indistinct sounds in his throat and shook his head. Encouraged, the other went on to explain at length, uttering each syllable with care and deliberation. Presently, he settled over and took a seat beside the old man. So, Muni made some distinct sound in his throat and shook his head. When the red man started asking in a very imploring manner, what Muni did was, Muni couldn't answer, couldn't give a reply because Muni didn't understand anything. So he started making certain indistinct sound from his throat. Just imagine that funny situation. Encouraged, the other went on to speak at length. So finding Muni listening to somewhat properly, the other man, that is the right man, was much interested and he started speaking. And this time when he is speaking, he was very careful. He was uttering each syllable with much care and deliberation. That is, he was uttering each word with much care, thinking that if I speak slowly, this man will be able to follow. So, in between, he settled over and took a seat beside the old man. So he came and sat beside the old man now. You see, last August, we probably had the hottest summer in history, and I was working in shirt sleeves in my office on the 40th floor of Empire State Building. We had a power failure one day, and there I was stuck for 4 hours, no elevator, no air condition. All the way in the train, I kept thinking, and the minute I reached home in Connecticut, I told my wife Ruth, "We will visit India this winter. It's time to look at other civilization." So, he was telling last year while working in my office, there was a power failure. It was very hot, and that moment I thought that, and there was a power failure. So when he came back home, he informed his wife that at least next month, he told his wife that we will visit India next winter. during the next winter season, definitely we should go and we should visit India. It's time to look at other civilization because we have to learn about other civilization also. Next day, she called the travel agent first thing and told him to fix it. And so here I am. So that is the reason why we are in India now. Red came with me but staying back at Srinagar, and I am the one doing the rounds and joining her later. So he's telling, actually, I came along with my family. My wife is presently at Srinagar, and only I'm engaged in moving around the country. And definitely, I'll join her later. Dear students, we'll wind up our class here today, and remaining we'll do in the next class. So, till we meet again, goodbye.